everyone, and welcome to today's global webinar, where we will be having an academic panel. While everybody's entering in, please add where you're joining from. It would be interesting to see where everybody's joining us from. And while you are doing that, I will briefly introduce myself. So I'm Anastasia Strohmeyer. I'm the campus director at the Central European University in Vienna, Austria. And the SDG goal that I'm currently focusing on is zero hunger. And the way that I'm achieving this is by an ongoing project which focuses on setting up self-sustainable school meals programs in rural government schools. Let's have a look at where people come from. So I see that there's some people joining from Finland, from Nigeria, Tanzania, Hungary, so really all over. And oh, lovely. Pakistan, quite a few from Pakistan, Lebanon. Um, okay, I think the number's stopping to decrease with people joining, so I think I will go on. So just a few pointers about what today's meeting is going to be like. We're going to start off with some introductions from our panelists, and they will also have the time to give a bit of a keynote remark at the end of that. And then after that, we've got some questions that I will be asking, and then we will also have some open Q&A. So for all of you fellows, Millennium Fellows, to join in and tell us what you are thinking about, what you want to know. So really just that can be through the chat. So if anything comes up while you are listening, just add it in there and we'll have a look. Otherwise, there's also a chance to ask the question at the end when the Q&A starts. Just raise your hand and yeah. Okay, so I would first like to introduce Dr. Sue Maxim. So Dr. Sue Maxim is a passionate higher education leader with extensive experience in student mental health, success, mentoring, social justice, staff development, advising, teaching, career development, disability awareness, and project management. Currently, she serves as Assistant Provost for Wellness at Pace University. She is student-centered, highly collaborative, ideas-oriented, and solutions-driven. Additionally, she leads numerous initiatives to infuse mental health, civic engagement, sustainability, DEIJ, and cultural awareness issues into the student experience. Welcome, Dr. Maxim. Are there any remarks that you would like to give?
Yes, so first and foremost, I want to congratulate once again all of the Millennium Fellows here and even those who have not been able to attend for whatever reason. Out of 60,000 applications, only 4% of students globally have been selected, and you were one of them. So that makes me really, really proud of each and every one of you, especially for your commitment to advancing the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which I live for. And they're all about, like, as you know, making the world a more just, peaceful, sustainable, and kind place for people, animals, and the entire planet, both now and the future. As Anastasia said, I am the Assistant Provost for Wellness at Pace University. I've done volunteer work all over Latin America, Kenya, and many other places related to social justice, health, and education for those in need. And I also develop and teach courses on the UN Sustainable Development Goals and cultural intelligence. And I'm a lifelong, and all my students know this, social justice, environmental, and animal welfare activist. And my motto has always been to be the change that I want to see in the world. And that's exactly what all of you are doing. And that makes me so proud. Lastly, I just want to offer my deep gratitude to MCN and the UN Academic Impact for launching the Millennium Fellowship, because it empowers students like all of you to be that change that you want to see in the world through the power of collective action. So thank you all for being here, and I look forward to connecting with all of you. And later on, I guess we'll be putting our information of how to contact us in the chat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maxim. I think it's really important for us to remember how lucky we are to be part of this program. Next, I will be moving on to Dr. Samia Huq. So Dr. Samia Huq is a Dean of the School of General Education and a professor of anthropology at Brock University, Bangladesh. She obtained her PhD from Brandeis University, USA, looking at women's religious discussion groups in urban Bangladesh. As Dean of the core curriculum, her task is to build and consolidate the liberal arts and sciences in general education and interdepartmental offerings through the creation and curation of courses, embedding a liberal arts teaching and learning and building co-curricular pathways for civic engagement and leadership as essential ingredients of the Brock University student experience. Dr. Huck is also a research fellow at the Center for Peace and Justice at Brock University, where she runs the project on faith and development in collaboration with the World Faiths Development Dialogue at Georgetown University. Welcome, Dr. Huck. Are there any remarks that you would like to give?
Thank you, Anastasia. I'm super excited to be here. First of all, congratulations to all of you. Following up from Dr. Sue Maxim, I think it's really commendable that out of so many applicants, 4,000 of you have been chosen to really, to do this very meaningful work. Supporting the SDGs, I think, really is a very personal pursuit, because I think even if we imagine the SDGs as something that needs to happen for societal transformation, I believe that that transformation actually starts with you. And the reason why you've applied for XYZ project to work on XYZ project is because it's meaningful to you, right? And so it's really from the person, an outgrowth from the person to the society. And I think it's wonderful that the Millennium Campus Network, I thank the Millennium Campus Network and the UN, the United Nations Academic Impact for launching the Millennium Fellowship that allows such wonderful, dedicated, committed young people such as yourselves to come together on this kind of on very important global issues, which are also, I'm sure, very important personal issues for you. So again, welcome. I'm super excited to be here. And I'm super excited to see such committed people the young people around the world who are ready to take on some of our most pressing challenges of today to create transformation for yourself and for society at large. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And while we're doing that, I already saw that Vlada mentioned it in the chat, but just make sure that while you're listening, think about things that maybe you would want to hear about later on in our open Q&A session. You can already submit your questions throughout the call. Next, we will be hearing from Mr. Tomasz Gierg with a background in academic student support, career services, higher education recruitment, and data management. Tomasz is strengthening the Career Services Office at Central European University and has worked in a variety of educational institutions in Wales, Indonesia, Cambodia, as well as in Hungary, helping students make informed and fulfilling decisions about their careers and education. Mr. Gierg, would you like to make some remarks?
Thank you, Anastasia, and let me also join in welcoming everyone and congratulating everyone on your successes so far. Very competitive application process, and you are here, which is brilliant. And yes, the work itself has just started, right? So this beautiful project that MCN and the United Nations Academic Impact empowered or enabled you to do through the Millennium Fellowship. These are the days. This is the work time as well as the time to reap the fruit of your labor so far. I am honored to be here. It is our second year as Central European University and my first year as part of the program. So it's so inspiring to see just the sheer variety of places and institutions that you represent and come from in this context. You are amazing, that I can already see. And I was lucky enough in my career to help so far people with backgrounds of these beautiful varieties to find the way they can make the most impact in a way that is also giving satisfaction on a personal as well as a career level. So I'm really looking forward to the questions and to the panel discussion itself. You are here. I want to encourage everyone to take control, ask your questions, and make the experience yours, the meeting itself and the Millennium Fellowship in a wider sense as well.
Thank you so much. Next, we will be introducing Professor Anna Catherine Kendrick. So Professor Kendrick is an international educator and scholar of Hispanic literature and culture bridging Shanghai and New York. Her scholarship in Spanish and Latin American literature and culture has focused on transnational and historical networks of pedagogy, science, and society, as in her prize-winning monograph, Humanizing Childhood in Early 20th Century Spain. As Director of Global Awards at NYU Shanghai since 2015, she has pioneered university-wide programs, including the first-year fellowship circle and Charting Your Path, aiming to accelerate student success and further access to global opportunity. So would you like to make any remarks,
Thank
Professor
you so
Kendrick?
much. It's such an honor to be here, as others have said, and to be part of the larger council that is working with and learning from Millennium Fellows this year. As you so graciously said, I am based in Shanghai, China, at NYU Shanghai. I'm an international educator. And so much of my project has been about connecting the world in various ways, cultures, through translation, through ideas, understanding also how we educate and how from the various earliest stages, we understand children and their creativity and their minds, not as a psychologist, but as someone who appreciates literature and culture and all the ways that this has been understood over time. So working with Millennium Fellows and in the spectacular work that the Millennium Campus Network has done and you in Academic Impact, it really just continuously inspires me in my conversations with our fellows on campus and what they're doing and what they learn from other fellows and the trainings that happen across the year. So it's a great honor to be part of this larger organization. And as I think about ways that we might continue to improve the organization, as you think about your own projects and what inspires you, I'm drawn to something that just this weekend, actually, I took some students to a great museum of contemporary art here in Shanghai. And I came across the work of an artist from Ghana who's worked in Nigeria much of his life, Alan Natsui, and various quotes. You know, this is all these worlds coming together here in Shanghai that struck me about the power of what you all are doing too. He says something like, the whole of life is a process of improvisation. When I started working with abstraction, and this is art, of course, I saw the freedom and the challenges that come with it. You're not contributing to the world by replicating what is there already. And I think that's exactly what you all are doing with each of your projects, something new that didn't exist before. And whatever it is, whatever small change you make, it's a contribution to the world. So welcome and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Professor Kendrick. So actually, we're now going to be moving on to the questions that I will be asking. So before we move to the open Q&A, again, to remind you, please submit your questions. The first person we're going to be starting with is Professor Kendrick. So as an international educator who focuses on culture, literature, and on how that informs disciplines, curriculum, and pedagogy, we are curious to know how you think we can be more intentional in creating a civic engagement curriculum that is informed by and rooted in sociocultural and historical experiences.
Thank you. Well, yeah, this is something that I suppose we think a lot about, and often we find, I think, in reading that people have struggled with questions before, right? Whether it's historically, there's this saying that history never repeats itself, but it rhymes. Things will happen again and again in different ways, and we see tendencies, we see questions, we also see personal struggles. We can find inspiration in poetry, in the works of others. And in some of your projects, that might also be one way to reach and connect with people that you might be working with. But most essentially for me, it's thinking about yourself as individuals and finding that the whatever it is that you're reading or working with, the texts, the sources, the methods that you might use in your outreach and your projects, that you find where you stand, and that whether it's your research or outreach, that it begins from a place of personal conviction, that it's not just something you're doing because you feel like you should or because someone told you to, but because you care about it. And one way that you can deepen that care is to continue to learn more about that. So continue reading, continue thinking, find people whose works challenge your ideas about it, and how that goes exactly into a curriculum. I would love to talk with Millennium Fellows who are interested in this, and there are programs out there that are very intentional in putting together works of whether it's on social justice or on dialogue or on historical examples that we might engage with and learn from. So is it contemporary issues, or how deeply are we tied to the past? So if anyone is interested, please feel free to be in touch, and I know we'll go further there at the end.
Thank you so much. My next question will be to Mr. Yurd. So often social impact spaces are really difficult to navigate, especially if one wants to sustain themselves working in this space. As someone who works in the space of career advising, what can you share about looking for opportunities in the social impact spaces, and how can young leaders merge their passion and careers?
Thank you for the question, Anastasia. All our contexts are different. I mean, once again, looking at all the different places that we are coming from, the different goals that you are working for, it's really hard to make a generalization that is meaningful. Yet, I'm going to attempt to do that still. I would say that research is extremely important. And in this particular case, what I mean by it is map the landscape. You know that you are interested or you want to make an impact in a specific field or a specific goal, but who are the stakeholders, the players who are already dealing with these goals? This is something that takes serious research to understand locally in your own direct environment and also more globally. And just to give you a couple of examples for this, if there is a cause that you are interested in, that your project is aimed at, there definitely will be NGOs, non-governmental organizations who are dealing with this. But there is the whole public sector as well, on the policy level, on the implementation level, on the local level, on the regional level. There might be social enterprises, private ones that are successfully working, and they might have already made the mistakes that you are probably face the problems that you are going to face yourself. These are all actors that you can learn from. I mean, it's not that obvious. I mean, I haven't even talked about the private sector. You might be thinking that the social impact space is very much a civil society thing, but there might be huge companies out there who like the index finger is kind of whacked at them, saying that you guys all need to have these environmental, social, and governance goals covered, and they might have departments that are dealing with the thing that that you are interested in. So once again, it's a big generalization, but if I were to suggest you something specific, is to map the landscape. How do you do that? Find one person who's been active in this landscape and ask them for a conversation. Sit down with you and talk about this. You're not asking for an internship or a job or a favor or an endorsement. You're asking for their time. You have this huge card in your hand that you are excited, you're young, you're motivated. That's intoxicating in and of itself. So if you're asking for a conversation, not many people are going to say no to you. So I encourage you to do so, and you'll be surprised what kind of actors you find in your landscape.
Thank you so much. I see that your words have already had a lot of impact. Everyone's writing "mark the landscape" in the group chat. Um, but I would like now to move on to Dr. Huck. So, as someone who is involved in curating interdisciplinary curriculum plus engaging with student leaders, what do you think we are currently missing in higher education institutions in creating civically engaged students? Also, looking into the global South, particularly, so much of our understanding of civic engagement is also informed by the global North. How do we ensure we bring this gap, and what role do you think students play here?
Thank you. So what is currently missing in higher education? Again, I don't want to generalize because higher education is not the same everywhere. But I think for a long time, a very particular way in which, and that's not how higher education started, but it sort of evolved into that, was sort of theoretical. It's conceptual. It's big on theory. You come to university to read a lot of theoretical things, to debate in theoretically, conceptually. And what that happens oftentimes is students don't know how to apply the theory to practice. They don't understand how what they're learning inside the classroom, how it's linked to what's outside of the classroom. And so in a way, and I think higher education still seems to be a little bit tentative around this question, because there is a certain sort of highbrowedness about, just the joy of learning in the classroom. But I think there, and that's fine, there is a certain joy of learning in the classroom, and university is a place where you learn grand theories and you can be highbrowed about it. You've come to university, you deserve that. But I think honestly, sometimes that kind of orientation to higher education prevents a student from really getting their hands dirty, from becoming doers themselves. You can get stuck in theory, you can get stuck in polemics and debates, but oftentimes when you get your hands dirty, you see that there is power in doing things. There is power in coming together. There is power in ideas that you have, and you may not necessarily speak at that level of grand theory, but your ideas are really powerful. So I think, if you ask me how we should be doing higher education differently, I think we should be bringing a lot of that into the classroom, connecting the classroom with the outside world, telling the outside world that, look, our students, our classrooms may be able to be in a productive relationship with you. We may be able to think together and come up with solutions together. So I think that's sort of a very creative, generative space that higher education can tap into to make it richer, to build on kind of its theoretical repertoire, and to also enthuse students to be both thinkers and doers. Yeah, does that answer your question?
I think it does. I think it really,
And
yes.
the question about the global
Yeah.
South, though, I mean, I just want to put out there that I think the global North and the global South, oftentimes we also get stuck in polemics when we think about these as very discrete categories, right? And that's not to say that there aren't differences. There are differences for sure, right? But I think oftentimes we need to think in terms of collaborations, in terms of coming together to do things to help, let's say, the most pressing needs, the most marginalized. A lot of their
Yes.
experiences are quite similar. And there are solutions coming up in different places, whether you call it the North or the South, that can be useful. So I think creating a space where we can talk about these things and then take back with us what is most relevant for our context, whatever that is very important. There are excellent solutions that the global South has come up with for their own problems. There's excellent solutions that the global North has come up with that share a lot of similarity with experiences and solutions in the global South. So I don't want to get stuck in binary thinking, but I want to focus on the power of collaboration and creating a space where you can actually come together and put these ideas out for students to learn and share and do things together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And my final question is to Dr. Maxim. So you talked about creating a community of care that prioritizes health, well-being, kindness, and inclusion as part of the Center for Wellness at Pace University. This is something that we believe should be universally given, that burnouts amongst young leaders and students are so high. What is your advice for young university students to create their own community of care?
I love that question because I just want the whole world to be a community of care. So I guess let's start with shared values. Like, what are people's shared values? Are they empathy, inclusivity, mental health awareness, social justice, sustainability, whatever it happens to be? But creating a shared language around care really helps to unify efforts and build trust. I'd also say creating safe and brave spaces. So having peer support circles, kind of like what you all are doing with the Millennium Fellowship, having open forums for dialogue, just like what we're doing here today, having affinity groups for marginalized identities. These types of spaces, they really allow for vulnerability, healing, and connection. I'd also say engage in service and advocacy. And again, that's exactly what the Millennium Fellowship is doing. So in addition to what you're all doing here with your fellowship, and maybe, when the semester ends, volunteer locally, maybe in a shelter, a food bank, tutoring at an animal shelter or whatever. Advocate for campus policies that support wellness, a community of care, equity, access, and then maybe partner with faculty and staff to co-create this community of care. Again, I would say normalize asking for help. A lot of people hesitate to ask for help, but students can lead by example. They can share their own wellness journeys. They can promote campus resources. Like, I am always telling students that, going to counseling, because we all know that there's this epidemic of loneliness and that mental health issues are reaching stratospheric heights. That's a strength to ask for that. And so it also helps to reduce that stigma, and foster a culture of mutual support. I'd also say use creative expression, build awareness and empathy, and celebrate diverse experiences through art, through music, through storytelling, because these can be powerful tools. And maybe students can host open mic nights or zine workshops or collaborative murals. We're going to be creating a big gratitude mural at Pace University, and having everybody put little Post-it notes on this big mural about what they're grateful for. Those types of things can really make a difference. So can everyday kindness. I am like the queen of kindness. So check in with a friend and leave encouraging notes for people, like create a little kindness rock and paint it and leave it around campus or around your community, or offer a listening ear. These are all things that can build that culture of care that's just woven into everyday life. And then lastly, I'd say students can build coalitions. So maybe they can collaborate across clubs and departments and disciplines to launch care campaigns and advocate for systemic change. So this amplifies their impact, and it fosters this sense of shared purpose. So those are just a couple of things. And I know we only have 2 minutes because I could go on for like hours about this because I'm so passionate about it. But those are a couple of things that you all can do to create a culture of care and a community of care where you live and where you go to school.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
shut up now.
I now have a question actually directed to all four of you, and we can see what the order of people responding are. But so for young students, it is really crucial that we learn how to balance various aspects of our academic lives and non-academic aspects that we are truly passionate about. But this is not always easy. What would be your advice as someone who has been young, who has seen young leaders flourish in university settings? How can we learn to manage both academics and civic engagement, and also how to bridge the gap between those two?
Ooh.
Would you like to start, Dr. Maxim?
Sure. I would say integrate purpose with planning. So like time block your schedule for both study and service hours. Engage strategically. So like a lot of students think, oh, I have to do a million projects and it'll look great on my resume and LinkedIn. Really what you need to do is focus on quality over quantity. So like one meaningful initiative, like what you're all doing with your Millennium Fellowship, is much better than a ton of scattered ones. Leverage your campus resources. So tap into your faculty mentors and the wellness office and the student leadership programs, and use, if you have academic opportunities like service learning courses, independent studies, use those to do your service learning and civic engagement. And I'd say also connect your coursework with real world impact. So maybe apply what you're learning in the classroom to a civic project. So I don't know, maybe use a sociology class and design an inclusive event for it or something like that. And just reflect on your civic experiences and your academic papers and presentations. Like these are just a couple of ideas. There's tons of others, but I'll let the others speak.
Just before we hear from our next panelist, I'd like to remind everyone again that please write in the chat what questions you want to ask and what you're curious about so that we can answer those later after when it's the open Q&A. Mr. Gure, do you want to go next or?
Yes, I have a suggestion. There's some of you out there that need to hear this, that you can't give from an empty basket. Like, make sure that you are kind to yourself, you listen to your body, you sleep enough, and that you eat enough. Because like in Anastasia's question, yes, it can be overwhelming. There is the academic side, there is your non-academic aspects that you are passionate about and you want to do. And then there is all the other parts of life. And if you're running on fumes, if you try to do everything at the same time, it's really easy to burn yourself. So please, the eating, the hydrating, the sleeping enough, don't compromise on that one, and talk to other people who are in a similar situation than you are. So the Millennium Fellowship is brilliant in this way. There's a lot of people in this room, virtual room, who are in the same situation and are having similar challenges to you. Sometimes talking about this with the others in and of itself helps, not to mention that they might have a tip or two that you can use as well.
Thank you so much. Next, Professor Kendrick, would you like to go next?
Sure, I'm happy to jump in. Thank you so much. I mean, my one thing adding on to what's already been said, in it, not only that your coursework might be mutually reinforcing of the civic engagement that you do, but that you're authentic in your choices. That again, you're not doing something for the resume or because you think that it's I don't know, because it's presents itself to you, or a professor says, that can be great if a professor says, I have this project, and you jump in and learn from it. But being authentic in why you choose what you do, and to go deeply with it. So 3 years or several years or semesters of developing relationships in a community health organization and learning deeply how it works and what the challenges are. From what I've seen of students, that drawing lessons from that, or being shaped by the way that others around you work and inspire you and support you, that can be much more meaningful. Also, from a advising or selection standpoint, when I work with many students who apply to things like the Millennium Fellowship at a later stage for graduate study and other global opportunities, and the selectors, they're not impressed by just someone did this and this and this and this and this. They want that sense of mission and purpose and deep authenticity, and they can see if it's not authentic, that you really care, and you care differently as well about it for very personal and specific reasons. So you can't just snap your fingers and have that come out of nowhere, but be open to opportunity, to finding that, and I think relax into it, that there is space and time to be used to give of yourself, but also to echo the note that was just said, that not everything you do has to be useful, and it doesn't all have to be oriented towards others all the time. That doing something you love, that makes you come alive, that you feel passionate about, that is just as important in many ways, that we all do that. doing something wild that you never expected you'd have a chance to do in your life that makes your experience deeper and richer. Those are all really, really important pieces of the bigger picture.
Thank you so much. And lastly, Dr. Huck.
Everything I think has been said. But I think I would pick up on what Dr. Kendrick said. That's exactly what I was going to say as well, that, don't, of course, you should be curious, inquisitive, take full opportunity of everything that your campus has to offer you, your courses and all of that. But I think in terms of being civically engaged and perhaps, building relationships, building platforms, solutions, I think, I would say focus on partnerships, coming together to learn from each other. I think that's very, very important. I also think that another thing that I wanted to, and what's already been said, that I think whatever you want to be passionate about it. Ask yourself, why is this important? First to the world, but also, why would this be important to me? And I don't say this from a selfish perspective. I say this because if it's important to you, you're going to have a story that's unique and authentic. And remember, in terms of doing this, being civically engaged, doing this kind of civic engagement work, I always say this to my students, it's really not the outcome so much that's important, but the process. So, why did this light your fire? How did you then find the other person whose fire was also lit by this? Then what were the light bulbs that went off when you discussed this? What was the personal reflection? I think oftentimes there's great learning in the process. Not because you came up with the greatest solution in the world, you may or you may not. Sometimes maybe a solution is already out there and you need to just find it. But your journey to finding it is what will make you truly civically engaged in a very authentic way, in a way with both purpose and also the power of connecting. I think that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we're already going to be moving on to our open Q&A session. I would like to remind everyone again that just while I'm talking, feel free to put your hand up. And if you do put your hand up, then when we do your call on you, please make sure to introduce yourself, your university, what SDG you're working with, and your name. So I will start off with a question that we received from Shada. I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And basically, the question was that my project focuses on SDG number 4, quality education. I'm interested in understanding how universities can ensure that civic engagement opportunities also enhance students' learning outcomes and support access to quality education. Is there somebody that would really like to answer this question from the 4 of you? Specifically. Okay, then we'll just choose by random.
I
Dr.
can
Huck.
start.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Go ahead, Sue.
Oh, no, you go, Dr. Huck. Sorry,
No,
you go.
I actually, well, no, go ahead, because I would have taken time. I was going to ask Anastasia to read the question again, but go ahead and answer it, and then the question will come to me.
Okay, I mean, in my mind, civic engagement would be integrated into every nook and cranny of every university. Because in my mind, it's actually the most impactful way to learn, grow, and be the change that you want to see. But if your university beyond the Millennium Fellowship doesn't offer a lot of opportunities, why not approach the student engagement or student affairs office or a faculty member and ask to help them with a project? Maybe it's a research project, maybe it's a civic engagement project or whatever. But I think that I think it was Dr. Hugh, mentioned partnerships before, like partnering with somebody else or an entire unit within the college or university that you're in could really make a huge difference. I don't know how many colleges across the world have civic engagement courses that are actually required, but if there are any, or if there are independent projects that you can do or anything, partner with somebody in the university or just ask people in the university, what can I do to make a difference here and in my community? I hope that answered the question, because I don't remember exactly what the question was either, but I think it was along those lines.
I think that answered it. Dr. Huck, would you like to touch upon anything too, or are you good? Okay. The next question is a question from Nirongo. So, how do you maintain visibility and sustainability of your initiative, especially if you are starting from scratch? Would anybody like to take this?
How do you ensure feasibility and sustainability of your project?
Visibility, yeah, visibility and sustainability.
Visibility.
Yeah, visibility and sustainability.
Visibility of your project. Well, again, you can, if your university has any platforms, or if it has any kind of promotion sites, or if it's got a dedicated civic engagement space, you can reach out to them and sort of say that you have this project, you want to, perhaps the university has, such as we do, perhaps a platform where it invites young people to come together. Perhaps it has town halls where you could actually say that this is what you're working on. And in terms of ensuring that it's a sustainable project, well, first of all, you need to understand if what the scope of the project is to begin with. Sometimes I think students tend to pitch projects very, very large.
Yes.
Right, and it's beyond. It's wonderful because it's full of enthusiasm. But sometimes we need to also know that there's so much we can do to begin with, right? And then later on, once we've done that little bit, then there's a question of the next step where we might be able to scale it up a little bit more, in which case you might need partnerships, you may need perhaps a knowledge base to engage with, perhaps you need a little bit of seed funding. So then there's a question of, if you have a mentor or somebody, maybe your civic engagement officer on campus or any faculty that works on similar things might be able to lead you in that direction in terms of, well, how do I do the first bit that I want to do that's very doable and manageable for me as a first step of learning? And then how would I, for this to be sustainable, for this to be scalable, what do I need to do? So I would advise students to really think of projects step by step, start small, start manageable. We don't have to solve the world's hunger problems, right? Or even the national hunger problems. I mean, maybe you could start a little project on your street or in your hometown, or in an urban settlement somewhere where you want to work with 3 households to do this, right? So so from small to large, and then find relevant partners, mentors, teachers, organizations that can help you along the way.
Thank you so much for that. And Mr. George, I see that your hand is up. Would you like to add something to what Dr. Huck just said?
Yes, I wanted to address briefly the visibility part of the question. Like, I think there was a part saying how to make sure that your project is visible, and I think, like, partially I'm coming from a marketing and communication background, like in a different life, and civic engagement projects are not that different from other kind of private enterprises in a way as well. That if you want the message to reach a certain audience, then you have to be professional, innovative, and just fresh in your communication. So I would say that don't ignore this part, that this is a profession in and of itself as well. So reach out to someone who does this, for example, at your university, or if you know someone whose job or passion is communication or marketing or graphic design, and ask for that sort of help as well. Because it can have a great multiplying effect if you figure out a really good campaign that makes people think and look or Google or again, it really depends on what the particular context is, but reach out, because a lot of people are really happy to help you with your project, because it is a civic engagement project and it could be a good feather in their caps as well.
Thank you so, so much.
I can.
Yes,
I'm
of course.
also happy to add about the sustainability and how you might think about it. That I guess there are different scales, as someone else has pointed out, that you can think about, do I want this project itself to last and endure? And that's a hard thing to expect of a one semester Millennium Fellows project, but it's not impossible by any means. It may be the seed, it may be the starting point, but you can think about, do I want this sustainability across the years? That could be through student networks that you're mentoring and advising as an alum and staying in touch with younger students across the years. And in that way, your sort of project, your legacy, your learnings move on and continue in new projects. You can think about sustainability across your career. Are you building on it and leveraging these learnings into new channels and new opportunities? And then you can also think about that literal sustainability of the project. And that might be if you feel you are continue to develop it and find partners and team, and it's working and it's something you want to continue with. There are also channels to support that. And maybe entrepreneurship resources at your university would be useful for that. There's also external organizations like Echoing Green that support early stage social ventures, but that's a very far down the line thing, but by no means outside the realm of impossibility or ambition for the projects that come out of this.
Thank you so, so much to all of you who answered. Next, I will be taking a question from somebody who has their hand raised. So, Chiugo, can you please state your name, where you come from, and what SDG you're working on, and then pose your question. And please specify if it's directly to somebody as well.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. I am Chigo Noruka from Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I'm a co-director there at the Oka campus. It's in Oka, Anambra State, Nigeria. My project it actually cuts across two SDGs. That's SDG 4 and 8 on quality education and economic, something like economic growth. I just know it has to do with economic something. So it's okay, just a little bit about my project. It's basically a project to teach computer literacy skills, like the use of word processors, Excel sheets, and PowerPoint presentation, just the basics. My target is senior secondary school students. So my question is this. I don't know if I'm the only one, but then there are times when I have a lot to do that I end up not doing anything. Or maybe I have a lot of ideas that I end up not even doing anything, because I will just sit down and be thinking of which one comes first, which one comes next, and by the end of the day, time is gone. So in such a scenario, how do we balance all those things out? The issue now is not that we do not know what we have to do, or we don't think, or we think that we can't achieve what we know we want to do, but we don't know what comes first and what comes next and what comes side by side, or what we should drop, because someone once told me it's not everything you can do that you must do. So how do you balance it all out?
Thank you so much for the question. Would anybody like to answer that specifically?
I want to make sure that I understand the question. Was it like you feel overwhelmed with what your project is and you want to know how to go about making it happen because it seems so overwhelming? Was that the question? Sorry, she was going in and out, at least on my computer, so maybe I just misunderstood. But if that is the question, I would say take it in teeny tiny chunks. So think about what you want to accomplish, And again, like Dr. Hoog said before, sometimes like we want to cure world poverty. Like I wanted to do that when I was 18 years old, and I was convinced I could do it. But maybe you just do a little food pantry something in your university, but write down things that are doable and that you can do within the time frame of this particular semester. Maybe get the advice of your campus liaison or trusted mentor, whether it's a faculty member, a staff member, something like that, and work out a little plan. But just think about it in teeny tiny chunks, and then once you accomplish one little thing, then you can move on to the next. But if you want to say, I want to cure the world of poverty, it isn't going to happen this semester. Maybe next semester, who knows? But just think about small accomplishments and then build on each accomplishment. That would be my advice.
Mr. George, would you like to say something as well to add?
Yes, I think talking to someone helps a lot.
Yes.
It just the fact that if you share it with someone, then sometimes just hearing your own thoughts out loud already helps you kind of kick you into gear to start doing those small bits that so Dr. Maxim was talking about. And the other thing is that it kind of adds accountability. I do this personally a lot as well. So if I talk to someone in the morning and say, today I'm going to write 3 emails to the partners, to someone, then just the fact that at the end of the day, am I going to tell this person that, oh, actually, I didn't write those emails? So some like this personal touch sometimes helps you not only to clarify what you want to do, but also to the with the accountability.
Can
Thank
I
you
ask a
so much.
question?
Yeah,
Sorry. So isn't there a way for the students who are Millennium Fellows to connect with other students who are doing similar projects, or at least focusing on a particular SDG? Maybe connecting with them across countries and whatnot can also help, because that is one of the beauties of the fellowship. Because I would love for everyone to go abroad and experience different cultures, but not everybody can afford that. This offers the opportunity to connect with other students who are passionate about being the change across cultures and countries. So perhaps also just connecting with somebody who's doing a similar project somewhere around the world.
thank you so much. And Dr. Huck, would you like to add something too?
No, I think I don't know if this is going to be useful. I think taking on from Dr. Georgi, I think it's important to talk to somebody because sometimes a very good project can just get lost in the vastness of how it appears, right? And perhaps the
Yes.
vastness of your ambition, which is great, but maybe not just for today. So it's important to talk to somebody. And something that we do with our students in our civic engagement course is we get them to do a mind map. So if you know what that is, or if you can reach out to somebody, a faculty or a mentor who can help you to visually see your project, that will help you really kind of identify the core concept, the core idea, and then just see what the branches are so you can see the hierarchy. And then when you've identified the branches, you know which one is the closest to you, which one you can start with, right? So you can see solving the world's hunger problems right at the top. And then you can see, hunger as your core concept. And then why does it matter to you? Maybe the food kitchen or maybe a neighborhood food kitchen is the first branch that you can work with. So I sometimes feel like to put these things down and to have a visual representation, it takes the jumble out of your mind, the jumble that is created by how vast you imagine this project to be. And it probably is. And it's fine that you don't take it on, all on at once. You shouldn't, because that's usually a recipe for failure. It's nice to start small. And maybe if you're familiar with the idea of a mind map, or if you can reach out to a faculty member or mentor who can work on that with you, or just Google it and, put your idea down on a mind map, it might help you.
Thank you so much. So that's the last question then from our open Q&A. Thank you so much for all the responses. We would like to wrap up now. So maybe some final remarks from each of you and some advice. And also to remind you to please, if all four of you could maybe put your details, your email address, your LinkedIn, any social platform that the rest of the fellows can maybe reach out to you on and connect with you as well. Thank you. Professor Kendrick, would you like to start with the closing remarks? You're muted right now.
Sorry about that. I will echo what everyone has said, and sometimes the best way to get started is just to get started with something small that can help you move past feelings of impossibility or being stuck. And even if that's getting started by doing something somewhat unrelated, but that gets you into the motion of doing something a little bit that challenges you in that day. And so as you move forward, again, think about the people that are around you. Take this as a chance to really deeply engage with your fellows. The meaning of a fellowship comes from the sense of fellows, of friends and of people who have shared values and experiences. And so they're your support team. They're the people that you get to have this experience with wherever they are in the world, and specifically in your cohort. So really, bond and do something special together, make the most of this opportunity. And if you can make it maybe a personal goal out of this experience to develop one deeper relationship with a faculty member or a staff member who you can explain the project and the value and find just some link to what they do on campus, then you've already got a partner and a relationship that's going to take you through college. So that's I just wish you the best of luck, and I'll pass on the mic.
Thank you so much. Mr. George, would you like to go next?
Yes, sure. So be flexible, have a good plan, and then if something doesn't work out that way, or you need to change or amend the plan, that's part of the process. And yeah, so feel free to scratch it out, change it a bit. Every project I know is different than how it looked like on the plan at the beginning of the day.
Thank you so much. And then Dr. Maxim.
So I would just, again, commend all of you for being the change that you want to see in the world, and be proud of yourself for whatever you accomplish, even if it's some tiny thing in your little corner of the world, because it all has a ripple effect and you will have positive impact no matter what you do. So be proud of yourself and continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And then lastly, Dr. Huck.
Just, congratulations again. Don't be too hard on yourself. Be open, be flexible. I think you've been selected means all your ideas are actually good. Believe me, they're needed, they're doable. You can do it. If you start small, if you even do a bit of it, and learn from it and take it to the next level next year, maybe beyond the scope of this fellowship, I think you should be proud of yourselves, and, keep learning. I find that, you've come up with a problem, you've designed something, you want to come up with solutions. It's so easy these days. When I was a student, there was no Google. So it's so easy to Google and see what other people are doing. How is this, if you're sitting in Nigeria, how is this addressed in Bhutan? You might find other students who've written about it, who you might find a term paper somewhere online. So I think when you read also, it gives you a lot of ideas, and it helps you get out of this mode of paralysis that, oh my God, how am I going to do this? So don't be paralyzed. You can do it, even if you do a bit. Do it with passion, do it with purpose. Remember, the process is what really counts. The process is what will keep you engaged and keep you doing good work forever, even when you're not a student anymore, into your adult life. That's what we want from you. Thank you and good luck.
Perfect. Thank you so, so much for all of you. I think we all have takeaways of what our next steps are. I would just like to thank again for all four of you for joining us and for almost 300 fellows joining the call as well, which is amazing. There's two things that I would like to bring your attention to. Next week, there's also going to be two global webinars, one on the 1st of October and one on the 2nd of October. So just be prepared to receive some more information about that on usually the weekly updates for the upcoming events. Thank you again for everyone for joining us, and yeah, have a good day.